So I'm going to be recording this for them just so that, they are able to get the information later, and also so that, even you who are here today with us can watch it later if you need to go through it again. So welcome everyone. Welcome Robert. Eunice, I see you. Eunice, I think doesn't miss any of our events. Agan, Anne, Ben, Bonareri, Kevin, Catherine, Frederick, Jane, Ombajo, Georgina. I see you all and I appreciate that, you've made it this Saturday morning. You could be in bed or watching Netflix or something, but you're here to learn how to invest and how to have the right mindset and skill set and tool set. And yeah, we are happy to have you here. So Robert, I am contemplating giving people a freebie, but yeah, we'll get to that towards the end after you finish your presentation. But yeah, karibu sana Robert. I've known Robert for quite a long while, since back in the days. I don't know whether you remember those days, Robert, Norwish Union in Nairobi. We used to be really crowded in that room. I see you, Emma, though you're calling yourself Redmi, all the way from Naivasha, I think. So yeah, we used to go to Norwish Union every not every Sunday, once in a month on Sundays, just to talk about stocks and for newbies to come and learn just for 100 shillings. How do you get started? And that's a question I've seen some people asking. And yeah, so I'm happy to have Robert with us here again today, doing what he does, I think, every day of the week, teaching people how to invest, how to manage their money, and everything you need to know about investing. So karibu sana, Robert, and I'll let it get to you because quite a number of people have joined. The rest will continue to join as we go along, and the video will still be available for those who need to watch later or to rewatch at another time. So karibu sana, Robert.
Asante sana, Felista. So thank you very much for having me on Abojani. I think just like you said, our journey started a long time ago. And I remember you are one of the founders of the Young Nairobi Stock Exchange Investors Forum, whereby we used to have monthly sessions at Ochieng. The first meeting was actually at Uhuru Park, so it is quite a rich history. So from there, if I remember very well, even 52 savings Facebook group is not there. Then you went and created it, then now it has become very big. Young Nairobi Stock Exchange Facebook group has also become very big. So today, I want us to look at three things when you are looking at money. And before that, I would like to introduce Abojani. So basically,
Robert, sorry to interrupt. I don't know whether it's just me, like the volume is a bit low. If anyone else is having sound issues, let me know. If not, maybe it's just me. Anyone else?
I'm also not hearing him clearly.
Okay. Yeah, I think many people are saying the volume is low.
Can you hear me now?
Not quite. It could be higher.
So is it okay now so that you can proceed?
Yeah, better for me. Is anyone else still not hearing well? Anne, Mercy, Lovely, Maureen, is the sound okay? Now everyone says it's better. So yeah, I think then we can continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So what we do at Abojani is basically invest education, and we do it with a very practical approach, whereby after that we push our members to go and invest and do it. Because you all know that we've gone through an education system whereby for 16 years we were just learning. then you get to implement it later on. But at Abojani, immediately after the sessions, we give you an opportunity to be connected with investment firms, whether it is the stock market, money market, so that you can start doing it immediately. So we really look at practical issues of what is learned so far. Because with that, you'll be able to align. There's a very big difference between the theory and the practice. So we run a Facebook group with over 83,000 people who are interested in investing. So based on that, we also do have investment every month. And from that, we've come to develop some insights based on our interactions with members. We do have one session.
Robert, sorry, the sound is still not, it's like going off and on. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe try without, yeah.
Let me change. So I've removed the headset.
Yeah, that's better.
Maybe it should be better. Yeah. So thank you very much for that.
Is it okay
Yeah.
now,
So
Emma?
today I want us to look
okay.
at.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I want us to look at three main things when we are looking at money, which are basically the mindset, which is very key. Then we'll go to the skill set and finally the tool set. So I'll explain to you why you need these three pillars to anchor your investment journey. Since if you miss out even in just one of them, then you won't be successful. This week we had a scenario whereby there are people who wanted to invest in the government infrastructure bond, but unfortunately they had not opened an account for investing, which would take more than 2 weeks. So because of that, they missed out. So that is a practical example why we need the three pillars. You need to have your tools of trade before you start investing. And the tools of trade, they are the mindset, the skills, and finally the tool set. So the mindset, usually we say that it is the most important thing because it is a meeting that you'll have with yourself. Since personal finance is very personal and you need to stay guarded to have the right mindset. You need to agree with yourself. You inspire and push yourself, motivate yourself to decide that money is an important part of your life and you need it to help you achieve your life goals and live your day-to-day life. Only that now will you now start taking money seriously. And we usually tell our members that money is a silent partner in your life. It is a very, very silent partner. It is there working by your side. And there are times that it can take charge of your life and help you if you are facing some issues in life, so that those issues, they just become inconvenience and not really problems because the money has helped you to sort them out. When looking at the mindset, first of all, the main aim and take away from this session that I want us to do is to agree that it is important to set aside part of our income. So that is the biggest thing because you can create value maybe by self-employment or as a professional where you earn some salary. So when you create value, you are rewarded by some sort of income. So what do we do with it? So because money is very personal, different people have different goals and different views about why to save money. But I want us today to agree on some of the most common ones, the reasons why you need to set aside part of your income. So the general ones are, number one is to protect your health from inflation. So you know you're working very hard, whether it is in business, whether you are a professional, you work very hard on a day-to-day basis. Then from the income that you get, why do you need to set it aside? So I know there are so many things. Some people say that there's YOLO, but YOLO, if I can ask you if any of us here invented or discovered YOLO, you'll say no. So it's just something that we learn from other people. But the day that you have an emergency, the YOLO won't be with you. Just imagine if it is raining and you don't have an umbrella, you'll be rained on. It doesn't matter whether you ever said YOLO or something like that. So what I usually tell people, actually, the opposite of YOLO is yo-yo. So yo-yo is you are on your own. So when an emergency comes and you need money to sort it out, you are on your own. So because of that, we need to set aside part of our income. So the first goal is to protect yourself from inflation. So what inflation means is that over time, the value of goods and services go up. So basically, the price of fuel was lower a few years ago. Now it is slightly higher. So it simply means that with your income, you need to invest in an investment option that gives you returns above the inflation rate. So currently, the inflation rate is at 5.9%. So if you are saving your money just at 0%, it means that you're actually becoming poorer by saving. So that means that a few years from now, you want to be able to afford some things that you could afford now. So if you protect yourself from inflation, it means that in the future, you'll be able to sustain your lifestyle. You'll be able to still afford a loaf of bread so that if the price goes up by 5 Kenya shillings, your money has also grown by more than that, and then you can be able to afford. So the most practical example about inflation is that in the year 2004, a loaf of bread was going at 20 Kenyan shillings. Now it goes at 50. And if you had invested 20 Kenyan shillings in the year 2004 at just 8% per annum, you'd have more than 70 Kenyan shillings. So you'd still be able to afford that loaf of bread. But if you had put it under a mattress, it will be 20 Kenyan shillings, and now you won't be able to afford a loaf of bread. So inflation, you have to protect yourself from it. Then the other thing is an emergency. So an emergency is anything that requires a financial intervention from you. So maybe you are in business, all you do is to receive calls and maybe make arrangements to deliver goods and services. But now the screen of your phone is broken, you can't see who you are talking to. So you just need 5,000 Kenya shillings now, buy a phone and proceed with life. So if you have an emergency fund, that just becomes an inconvenience, but not a problem, because you go and buy your phone and proceed. So there are so many scenarios. Someone can lose their source of income. They can have a situation whereby their car has broken down in the middle of the road. And people in Nairobi, they're just proceeding with their life. You need to find a way to continue with your life. So if you have an emergency fund, then it means that you sort yourself very fast. And an emergency is like rain. We know that it's going to rain someday. We just don't know when. So if you set aside an emergency fund, it will come in handy. And usually it is recommended that you have between 3 months to 6 months worth of your monthly needs set up in an emergency fund. So we're talking about if your monthly needs stand at 50,000 Kenya shillings, then you need between 150 to 300,000. So that is just for a start, but in future you can grow it to become even bigger. So if you have an emergency fund, what it does is that it frees your mind now to be ready to start investing, because if your mind is free, is only when you can look at long-term investments. Otherwise, you'd start investing, then something comes up, you withdraw the money. So it will always be like something that you do on and off. But for you to invest consistently, you need to start with an emergency fund. So that's very key. The third reason why you need to save and invest is what we call retirement. So basically, young people who are able to work, they have a lot of energy. So that is known as human capital. You have the brain power to think through things, adapt to the new changes in your industry. So maybe you are doing things in a physical shop. Now with COVID, you have to do some deliveries. You have to do Instagram, WhatsApp. So all that kind of creativity, it comes with a younger age. But over time, you'll find that you won't be that vigorous. So you'll need your financial capital to take care of you under retirement. And research shows that about 83% of the people who have attained retirement age in Kenya, they cannot be able to take care of themselves. So either they're relying on relatives, their children, or some bonuses or stipend from the government every month. So it means that it is something that you can't run away from, and we need to start planning now. So that is very key. Then number 4 is personal goals. So personal goals that are very personal and unique. That people who want to start a business 2 years from now, some want to be self-employed, some want to buy a car, buy a house, or take their children to school. So all those personal goals, you know about your personal goals, and your personal finance will simply connect you to your personal goals. So if you want to live a fulfilled life, it is whereby you are doing those things that you really love, and you think that they're aligned to your well-being and the reason why you exist in this world. So because of that, you need to set aside part of your income and then use it to achieve your goals. You'll feel very good that you plan to do this and be able to do it. And then another reason why you need to save and invest is to live within your means. So living within your means will really help you to avoid debt, and it will also help you to live a happy life. So there's something we call as we call IOPs. So that is impressing other people. So if you impress other people, you are more likely to live beyond your means because other people have taken like charge of your life. They have taken charge of your life indirectly. You don't know, but they're actually the ones who drive you. They'll tell you that today you plan this, we need each person to contribute 20,000, you just contribute, and maybe you didn't have a plan for it. Or I'm buying a car, I'm doing this, then you start feeling like you also need to do that. So you'll be stretching yourself and going outside your goals. So that's very risky, and is one of the reasons why most people find themselves in financial distress. So that's very key that you live within your means, you live within what you have and what you can afford for now. Because personal finance is a journey, you are likely to be able to do more in future, but before you reach there, there's no need of going ahead of yourself. Then lastly, you need to look at your legacy. So what do you want to leave behind, or what do you want to be known for? And this is not just about money. If you are good at doing something, whether it is within your family, how many people can you help to be able to know how to do it? How many people can you help out there? So legacy basically means that if you had all the money in this world, those are the things that you do, the things that you really love. So you've seen that at the peak of COVID last year, the two top footballers in Kenya, Victor Wanyama and Michael Olunga, they donated some food stuff to people who are living in slum. So that's an example of living a legacy. And so we can't say that with more money, it is not a good thing. With more money, you can actually do more of what you love. So if you love helping people, you love helping people get jobs. With more money, you can hire more trainers to train them on how to get job opportunities. So with more money, you can help those people who are really in need. So once you've decided that, you've made a connection with why you need to save, which is very personal, then now it is very easy to look at how money works. So the way money works as Abojani, we came up with this framework based on our interaction with over 5,000 people in our communities. That the first layer is the mindset. Because if you've not decided that you need money to help you manage your emergencies, or to help you take your children to school, to help you buy a car, to help you meet your personal goals, it will be very hard to proceed to these other layers. So the first layer is, what do you need money to help you in your life? Can it be a tool that can help you achieve more in life so that you can hire people to help you do more of what you like? So once you've decided that you need money, whether it is for your retirement, buy insurance products, now the next layer is the skill set. So the skill set now is where you get the knowledge and information. You know what is out there in the financial markets. So if you need retirement, then in the financial market, you have retirement funds. If you need to set an emergency fund, then in the financial market, you'll have things like money market where you can put an emergency fund. So that is very, very important. Under skill set, you'll also know that something like M-Pesa is not a bank account. It is for transferring money. So usually if you leave your money hanging there, it means that you might have a skill set problem, because money that is just hanging there with no goal is likely to find legs and go away. It will grow legs and go away. So the skill set is all about knowing what is out there in the financial markets. So if you need to open a bank account, what kind of a bank account do you need? Then if you are to take a loan, do you know that you need to pay that loan, or else you'll be listed in CRB? And if you're listed in CRB, it could affect your employability, it could affect your business's ability to get a loan, and that can be a drawback or a setback. So that is key. So skill set is very important. And if you have no skill set, however good you are in terms of mindset, you can save millions. Then one day someone will just come to you and tell you that, do you know what? I have this opportunity that will give you a return of 20% per month, and they'll give out your millions. You've seen all those scams.
they exploit this weakness here. People who are not very strong on skill set, they believe that there are people there who have got their best interest at heart, who can grow for them money. What you need to know is that wealth is very personal, and the decisions, they need to come from you. You are the driver. If you are not the driver, what will happen is that today you wake up in the morning, someone will come from nowhere with a very sweet deal for you. So now is 10 a.m., for example. By noon, you'll have maybe committed 1 million or 1.5 million to something that you had never even thought about before, because these people take advantage of this layer. So you really need to understand the skill set, know that if I need insurance products, what will they help me with? What is the checklist? What do I need to look at? So that means that you are equipped with financial education. You are financially aware. You also need to know that banks lend at 13%. So anyone who needs money from other people, you should always ask them, if you are giving me 18% and this business that you're doing is so good, why can't you go to KCB or equity? Because that is their job. That's what they do on a day-to-day basis. So if you're getting any returns above 13%, just know that you're taking more risk than the banks themselves can take. And you know, the banks, they have very strong appraisal tools to know some of the best investment opportunities. So always be keen on the skill set. So you need to learn as much as possible, whether it is treasury bills and bonds, whether it is the stock market, you need to know how they work, so that when you are committing to an investment, you are committing from a point of knowledge. And once you know that, it becomes very easy to be consistent. So if you are empowered with the right mindset, you are a good saver, and you have the right skill set, then you know that if I have long-term projects, then maybe the stock market is not the place to put the money. Sorry, if I have long-term projects that I want to do, let's say 5 years from now, I can put part of that money in the stock market. But if I leave that money in 3 months, then the stock market is not the best place to put it. Maybe it is the money market, which you look at shortly. So skill set, they'll help you to stay guarded, because there are so many opportunities out here. There's always something you can invest in. There are opportunities, and people have read your mind. They have read your mindset. They know that if you have children, maybe you need this type of investment options. So they'll just come to you with things that maybe just work for them as salespeople. But if you have the right mindset and skill set, it is you who now know that these are the options in the financial market, and I'm going for this and that because it fits into my personal finance goals and my personal finance journey. So it's very important to write down all your personal finance details, goals, and the things that you aspire to do. Then the last pillar that you need to look at is the tool set. So you know that someone who has a system or someone who has a formalized way of doing things, they're likely to succeed than someone who is just doing their things haphazardly. So if you are keen about your money, you can't say that you have a mental budget, that your budget is just in your head and that's it. You need to write it down. So that's the tool set. So if you need to invest in a money market, you need to open a money market account. So once it is there, it means that if you get some money that you didn't expect to get and you have really no plan for them, then it is very easy for you just to transfer money into the money market account. So you need to have your tools of trade first. So something like a budget. And if you are to save consistently, because as human beings, sometimes we forget to do certain things, then it's just in order to set up a standing instruction or a standing order to automate it. Because again, if you don't automate, it means that some months, if you don't feel like saving, you won't save. But if you have a standing instruction, then it becomes automatic. So remove that human element in it. And if you feel like you are having some challenges, then you can get an accountability partner to help you be accountable, maybe just for a few months, like 3 months before you get your momentum and get yourself ready for success. So the tool sets are very important, because if you don't have an investment account, it doesn't matter how great investment opportunities are out there. So you need to have your tools of trade first. So believe that if you have these 3 pillars and you keep on growing them, growing your knowledge of them, like knowing which budgeting apps are there to help you, whether you need to write them down, knowing which investment options are there, and improving on learning about investment, products, then over time, you'll become more knowledgeable, and with more knowledge, you're likely to be more successful in your financial education. So that is very key. And I would like us to look at this approach keenly and see that it will help us to avoid having any point of weakness in our personal finance journey. So if you look at now, having decided that you are now going to manage your money well and taking charge of your money, you need to do budgeting. So budgeting is resource allocation. So you need to learn from very established organizations like Safaricom and even the government. For the government, budgeting is a very serious thing. Even big organizations, they budget for both their revenues and expenses. So you need to borrow from them and learn that at the beginning of the year, you need to have a rough idea of the kind of income that you're likely to have in a year. Then also the kind of expenses that you are likely to have, whether they're on a monthly basis or periodic like school fees. Then now you allocate your resources, because it is all about resource allocation. Then from there, you'll need to know how much can you set aside. So once you've seen what you can set aside, then you now come to the pillars of personal finance with a skill set. You see where you need to put that money, then you do it consistently. So if you need to save, let's say, 120,000 Kenya shillings at the end of the year, it might be very hard to do it at a go. But if you're just doing 10,000 Kenya shillings per month, then it is very, very achievable. So if you do that in a year, it's 120. In 10 years, you'll have over 1.2 million. And because there are also interest and profits from that, you are likely to have more money. So it is about being consistent. But the most important part is resource allocation, which is budgeting. So there are different methods of budgeting. So zero-based budgeting simply means that you have to allocate all the resources that you have. If you leave anything hanging, that is where now the weaknesses come in. You start saying that I need to pigia mwili pole, but you can still do that within the framework of budget. Because if you look at 50, 30, 20 budget rule, it simply says that your needs will cater for 50% of your income. Then 30% will go under self-development and 20% will be for savings and investments. So the needs are basically the bare minimum that you need to survive as a human being. So they don't have to reach 50, but 50 is this is just a guideline. You can always make it work for you. Then now self-development is anything that deals with body, mind, and soul. So you know that we need to keep fit, for example. So if you have gym membership, you need to keep fit. That will be under self-development. If you need to progress your career, because you are the resource that is bringing this income, whether it is in business or employment, you need to upskill. You need to get ahead in life and be more employable or increase the size of your cake, to get a promotion or even change career. So that is self-development. So if you need to go back to school or learn a new skill or even attend a Abojani masterclass, something that helps you to become a better person, that will be under self-development. Networking with people, whether they are family members or friends, it will help you, because if you network, it also increases your chances of getting assistance from other people, whether it is in form of your career, your business, or personal life. So that falls under self-development. Helping other people like family members, parents, that is to do with body, mind, and soul. So it is something that if you do, it feel nice because you are helping other people. So that falls under self-development budget. So you can help people, but just ensure that it is within your budget and what you can afford as an individual. So that's very key. And then finally, saving and investment, because saving and investment, it is helping us improve the quality of our life, since it will give us some form of freedom, and it will help us to achieve our personal goals. So that is the third layer. So if you look at this, you can always balance it. It is not a must that you only save 20%. If you can afford to save 5% for now, you can do it, and then over time you can move to 10%, 20%. If you can do more than 20%, it is even better. So we need to look at our resources, then we apportion them appropriately. Then for those who are having challenges with budgeting for a start, the least that you can do is to at least set aside some part of your income consistently, whether it is 10%, then now 90% you can spend, but over time you should gravitate towards being able to budget. So budgeting is very key because it is from there that we'll have resources for investing and growing our income over time. So there are three types of capital that I want us to look at, and know that financial capital is a byproduct of mental capital and relationship capital. So that is very key when you think about money. You can't just wake up today, then you can't get money somewhere. First, you need to have an idea, knowledge, wisdom, skills, something that you know that you can do, that your friends know that you can do. For example, Felista, she's brought me here today because she believes that I can impart you with knowledge on investments. So that is something that I can do. But how did she know about it? We interacted with her. So that is relationship. How do people know that you are good at certain things? It's because you let people know on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn, and you've told your friends that I'm a mechanic, I can do this and that. I'm a pilot, I can do this and that. I'm very good in business development, or I'm very good in website development. So that is relationship capital now, because no one stays in our computer to know what is in our CV, and no one also stays in our head to know what you can do. So you need to ensure that you have the right skills, which you can build over time. And once you have the right skills, don't keep quiet with it. Build your LinkedIn profile, update people, engage with people online, professionals. You can join the professional bodies, join workshops, and tell people that this is what I can do. So with that, these people are able to connect you to opportunities. So once they connect you to opportunities, whether it is a business or a career as a professional, you'll get some form of income. Then this income, if you save it consistently over time, you can be in a situation whereby the interest that you are getting from your circles or the dividends that you are getting can actually help you to pay some of your expenses, like let's say rent or even school fees. So with that, it means that you are growing your financial capital. So to increase your financial capital or the size of your cake, you need to do these two things: increase your skill set, your knowledge, empower yourself, then make sure you are in the right networks, because organizations and opportunities are all about people. It's people who make decisions. So they need to know that if you are connected here, if you are Samuel, if you are Felista, this is what you can do. Then at the end of it, you'll get a reward in form of some form of income. So over time, once you grow your income, the income can generate for you your cash, some form of cash flows that can help you to do the things that you love doing in life. So it's very, very important to know how we get to the point of being able to get a source of income. Because that means that even for our budgeting, we'll be working very hard on the two items that will help us to be more attractive in the job place or in terms of the business opportunities. So that way you can get a promotion, your business can grow, you can learn more about sales and marketing and market more. And over that, you'll find that you can make more revenues. So that's very, very key to look at if you look at earning a source of income. So after all is said and done, our approach usually is to look at the dinner table of a family. So the dinner table of a family is where they have all these dreams and aspirations that they want to do. So if you look at personal finance, what we say is that it is a value chain and you need to look at it holistically. It is not about saving and budgeting only, no. It is not about getting a very good job or earning millions in your business, no. It is about looking at it as your empire. So this is your empire. And for your empire, you need to know the points where you can fail. Just one element in this value chain can bring you down. So that's the reason why we say that we need to understand the personal finance value chain and ensure that everything that you are doing, you are aware of the various elements in the personal finance value chain. So if you look at a family, let's say this is the dad, they have their dreams and aspirations. Maybe they are a corporate leader, there are things that they need to do and get a source of income. Then they have their personal needs, like if they're sick, maybe they might need some form of medical insurance, or if they see that in future they'll retire, they need to do retirement planning. Then the mom may have her own personal goals. The children, they need to be taken to school. They need also to learn about money and how to manage money so that in future they can start their business or they can grow their career. So each person here, they have their personal goals and aspirations. So you have different family structures, but the personal finance value chain applies to everyone. Let's say someone is still single, they still have to look at the personal finance value chain. When you have a scenario where you have only one parent, a single dad or a single mom, they also have their personal finance needs. So the way we look at the personal finance value chain, having talked on how to earn money through various ways. So first of all is about financial planning. So financial planning is to look at your sources of income and expenses. So look at your inflows and outflows and how to match those to your personal goals. So if you need to go to school and maybe you need 500,000 but can't afford it now, then it might mean that you need to save consistently for a few years before you can be able to afford that. So it's because you've sat down and planned, you are able to allocate your resources. So that is very key, looking at your assets, looking at your debt. So you're just planning your finances and writing them down. So after that, now in terms of growing your wealth, you need to understand wealth management. So you look at your investment time horizon. So if you are 26, maybe it will take you more than 30 years to retire. So that means that you have 30 years to plan for your retirement. So with wealth, you look at your risk tolerance, you look at your investment time horizon, then you look at what is available in the financial markets, which we looked at under skill set. So that means that you are getting to be more knowledgeable about wealth management and also looking at the downside, because investments and wealth management is about wealth protection first. So always protect the downside. It's not about if you have 1 million, then you invest all of it in just one investment option. You need to protect yourself about the possibility of things not working. So because of that, we look at various investment options. So, like treasury bills and bonds and the money market, they're less risky. So maybe you need to have a certain percentage there to protect the downside. Then if you still have a lot of time to invest and you're looking at the stock market, then you need to know that stock market is for long-term investment. So that is under wealth management. So you are making these decisions based on your personal goals. So that is very important. Otherwise, you might invest in the stock market today and you don't even have an emergency fund. Then tomorrow, the share prices drop and you have an emergency. So you sell at a loss simply because you did not take into consideration the wealth management and various investment options that are available for different situations. So wealth management, you look at your personal situation, which is very unique to you, and look at the investment options that can work best for you. So the third layer that you need to look at under the personal finance value chain is risk management using insurance. So you know that if you drive a car, you need to have some form of insurance because things can go wrong. If you are self-employed, you need to have some form of inpatient medical insurance to protect you if you get yourself into a situation whereby you are admitted and you need some form of insurance. So you need to do that now because there are some known risks that insurance products will help us to manage. So that layer is very key. And we can save and be successful in all this, save and do well in business and career, but you don't have an insurance. So something happens and 10 years worth of savings are gone. So it's very important to look at risk management using the various insurance products. Retirement planning, we've talked about it. So it's basically just knowing that over time your human capital will be very low. You want to be as aggressive as you are now. You want to be able to move from point A to B. So you need your financial capital to take care of it. So because of that, you need to plan for your retirement. So you can work very hard until age 50, then you retire, and then it becomes a very big problem. So you find that the rest of your life, you are in distress, you are stressed because you didn't plan for retirement. Debt management, again, you need to look at this. So if you have short-term debt, look at ways of clearing them. If you have long-term debts, you can consolidate them by looking at the options that can help you to pay little interest rate. Then maybe consolidate some of the loans. And for mobile loans, we always tell people that if you can avoid them, the better for you, because we have what is known as availability bias, whereby they're just available at the tap of your phone. So you can actually be taking debt because they're available, not because you need them. So you really need to be careful about that pillar, because again, you can work well, plan, do your wealth management well, but if you don't manage debt well, it can bring all these things down. You can go into your retirement fund, you can go into your investment account, and you can mess so many things. And then we have things like construction, home ownership, rent. We need to manage them. So for debt management, you are encouraged to look at what is known as debt to income ratio. So debt to income ratio is to look at the monthly loan repayment installments. So try to ensure that they don't go beyond 25% of your net income. So if you're earning 100,000 Kenya shillings, try to ensure that the debt repayments doesn't go beyond 25% of that, which is 25,000. Because if it goes beyond that, it will start stretching you, and you are likely to make very bad financial decisions. So for home ownership, we are talking about either you can rent for now or even plan to construct. So if you are planning to construct and you need to put some down payments, maybe a few years from now, your good friend wealth management will help you to grow that income so that you can raise the 1 million or 2 million that you need for the down payment. So that is how the various personal finance value chain aspects are interrelated. So also we need to know about life uncertainties. There are certain bugs that come to us. So there's home ownership bug that hits people. So like people who are between 35 to 45, they're likely to have home ownership bug.
Sorry, Robert, I think you've frozen. I don't know whether you can hear me. So as we wait for Robert, I hope you are getting value from
that you want to do with your life. Then another lens, finance for children. So you've seen these big corporations that they're not well managed once the owners have stopped being active in day-to-day management. So for some reason, they've left them to children. But since these children, mommy or daddy didn't tell them where they earn and how to grow income, they just think that the only way to deal with the money is just to spend it and spend. So you need to introduce children very early on in matters money. So there are some children accounts with various banks. They need to walk to the branch and see that in the bank is where you keep money. And if you keep money, maybe one day you can use it to buy a birthday cake. You can use if you are still alive, you might need to give some things to your children. So succession planning is about being organized financially and knowing who will take the baton from you. So that's very, very important, because if you look at Nairobi, if you are to get to Thika, you'll get to Thika because there's a river there and someone built a bridge. So if there was no bridge, you could all just stay in Nairobi, you'd never go to Mombasa. So the connection between the current generation to the future is through succession planning and estate administration. So ensure that you allow your children to move from point A to B. So if you don't build the bridge, it means that they'll just be left at point A. So for your lineage to also proceed or go ahead or get ahead in life, it means that over time, people need to have some form of inheritance. It means that they're likely to go to better schools, they're likely to start businesses, they're likely to be more successful. So if we talk about startup funding in the West, it's about what we call family office, whereby families have excess incomes that they saved over time. So maybe they have $10 million. They can afford to fund a business with $100,000. So that's like 10 million Kenya shillings. It means that more people in that ecosystem are likely to start businesses because we have an excess in form of capital. So capital is what moves the world. If anyone is bitter with the IMF or any other country, it simply means that these countries or these organizations, they have capital which we need. But if we save more and invest more it means that you'll have excess and you won't need other people's capital. So if you are a mother, if you are a father, and you want your child to be able to start a business, it's not about the government or funding from the West. It's about you setting aside part of your income so that in future, if say you can afford to give them 1 million, so you give them 100,000, they can try a business. If they fail, they can try another, because business is about risk taking. But if there's nothing that we are leaving behind for our children, it means that the only option maybe is to get employed. So if you want more people to start businesses, it means that we really need to save a lot of money in families, the excess that you have, protect it, so that over time it grows and becomes bigger and bigger. Another key important layer is finance for couples. So if you look at couples, actually, if they don't manage their finances well, it can cause a lot of distress in their relationship. So very, very important for couples to find a working formula for them. So that again is very unique, because these are two people who love each other, but they might be from different backgrounds. So there's a book known as 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. It tries to tell people in the relationship different ways in which they can find a working formula, including how to manage their money together, because these are people with different ways of looking at things and life. So it's very important that they find a working formula and over time be patient with each other, because if they have problems with their finances, it can destroy all this hard work that they've done in all these other personal finance qualities. Then finally, the two most important layers here, the entrepreneurship and career development, because this is where we get the income that helps us with all these personal finance value chain. So entrepreneurship again is, how do you increase the size of the cake? How do you remain relevant in your business? Career development, how do you grow your career? Because if it grows, it means that you're likely to earn more money. Then you can save more in your retirement, you can save more in investments, and you can plan for your goals and be able to achieve and do more. So I'd like us to look at personal finance that way. And you can see that however much you work hard in our career, if you don't manage debt, it can ruin our lives in terms of our personal finance journeys. So it means that if you have too much debt, you might not be able to take an extra course, then you'll get behind in your career. If you're not growing your business, you can be strained, then you'll maybe have personal finance issues in your family, with your children. You might not be able to afford inpatient insurance, which could help you so that you don't have to use your savings in case you are admitted. So that's how you need to look at these layers and see that they're very related in one way or the other. This just it still in terms of personal finance value chain. So take this slide seriously and know that it is an ecosystem. So people always think that it's about being mean or saving a lot of money. It doesn't matter. If you save a lot of money and don't have an insurance cover, one day all that savings will go to that. If you don't plan for insurance, you can work very hard, have a very successful career. You are a hero in the communities, but after retirement, you might find that you will not enjoy life because you didn't plan for retirement. So very, very key to look at it that way. So after you've looked at the mindset, which is all these things that you've looked at, having the right knowledge and everything, now we move to investing. So investing, it is a journey, and usually investing is about being defensive first. Being defensive is very key. So during COVID, there are some companies that went bankrupt, others didn't go, but maybe they were earning the same kind of revenues and income. But some of the owners decided that every year they'll be setting aside part of their income to go back to the business. So that means they have a form of luxury in terms of capital that can allow them to survive for more months than others. So if you look at investing, it simply means that first of all is to look at the various investment options that are available. So if you are in Kenya, you have the stock market, we have circles where you can save and invest, we have treasury bills and bonds, we have money market funds, we have chamas, all these investment vehicles, or even investing in a vehicle. So in a business, you need to look at them and start with the ones that are low risk. That's why circles are very important in terms of starting to save and being consistent. Money market, the same. Then over time, with interest from your circles or money market, you can try the stock market. If you have 50,000 Kenya shillings that you want to invest in the stock market, now you need to understand the stock market and how it works. So it is a journey, and you need to look at the risk the risks that are associated with investments. So we have something like capital preservation. It means that if you invest 100,000 Kenya shillings, then the worst case scenario is that you can only get that 100,000 Kenya shillings. At some investments, it means that the value of that investment can go down. Like in the stock market, if you're investing for the long term, you need to know that the risk matrix for the stock market is medium to high, but for money market and treasury bills and bond is low. So once you look at them, then you need to look at the returns. And let me give us a new definition of risk. So risk is not what we put in our head that for me I'm risk averse. No. Risk is those goals that we set up there that you want to achieve. Then now you go to financial markets and look at how your income can and investments can help you achieve those goals. So if you want to own a house in 10 years from now, which investment options, if you diversify well, will help you to raise that capital? So that is what risk means. Otherwise, you can decide that you are risk averse, you'll never invest in anything, no business, no anything, but you'll find that you live a very sad life because you are not achieving your personal goals. So you need to have your personal goals. Then you see that maybe stock market can grow my income by a certain percentage over time. So because of that, I'm going to put 30% of my investment in the stock market and invest in well-managed and run companies. So that's how you should look at risk going forward. So you also need to look at the common mistakes to be avoided. So we've heard about those Ponzi schemes and things that are likely to make us lose focus in our investments. So if banks are lending at 13% and government is taking money at 13%, know that is the risk-free rate in Kenya. So anytime you start getting an investment that is giving you returns about 15%, 18%, just know that you started taking more risk. And if you've decided to go for it, then we say that you need to play defensive. So if you have 100%, maybe you can put 20% there. Because if you lose 20%, you'll still remain with 80. But what some people do that when these new investment options that promise high returns come in, they put all their money there. So after the money has been lost, now you start asking the government. And the government was not with us when you were making these decisions. We've seen under the skill set, it is you as an individual who's the driver. You are the one driving the car. So there's no way, after things have gone wrong, you can try and bring other people to now help you drive a stalled car. When you're making that decision to switch on the engine, you are alone, you are an individual. So that's why it is very important to take personal initiative to learn as much as possible, so that you know what you are getting into as an individual and you protect the downside or the possibility of things going wrong. So they say that diversification is the only free lunch in investing. So if you are well diversified, it means that even if some investment options don't work, you are still likely to be up and running. So very, very important that we guard ourselves. So it's also important to know about the environment you live in and how certain things can affect you. So we talked about the inflation rate. Also, we are looking at the exchange rate. So if you are in business, maybe you sell stuff, let's say in Gikomba, and you import them using the dollar, you need to know that maybe over time you need to have some investment in USD. So you can have a money market in USD or a fixed deposit account with USD, because your business mostly you deal with importing stuff. So your tool of trade is the dollar. If you import cars, it means that you also need to put some part of your income in a dollar denominated account. So you are just guarding and protecting yourself. You play from a point of strength. Use the knowledge that you have and play from a point of strength. Because if you decide to blame other people because the dollar is going up, you can only do so much. You can only do what is within your capability, which is if you usually important to have some savings in the dollar. Actually, if it strengthens, it is to your advantage. So always look at the financial markets and what is out there and play from a point of strength. Get the knowledge and position yourself in a way that you're likely to be more successful. So financial markets, so if you look at the financial markets, we have different options. So this falls under skill set, and this is a skill that you build over time. No one is perfect, no one knows it all. Personally, I consult a lot with people who are much ahead in life than me, people who have done more, people who are in the financial markets, who work in certain industries. Because if you want to invest in bank stocks, and you've never worked in a bank, you can read the annual reports. But if you also have people working in the banking sector, you can get a lot of insights from them. You can see where the banking sector is headed, right? Maybe they are doing a lot of digital transformation projects. So someone in that industry can give you a lot of insights, whether it is retail chain, whether it is EABL, BAT, you need to get this information, money market, so that when you're making decisions, you don't just rely on your own knowledge, because we are biased as individuals. We have certain weaknesses and we need to see other point of views. But know that at the end of the day, we always look at protecting the downside, and the main aim of looking at money and investing is about our personal goals and very personal things. So before we make any decision, we should know that it should be aligned to our personal goals. So money market, these are investment options that mature within a year. So any bank deposit that you'll ever have, the maximum maturity period is 1 year. So a fixed deposit matures in 12 months. After that, you can ask the bank to maybe renew it. But for money markets like Britam and CIC, it is automatic. So that money will always be there. And with the money market from Britam, CIC, Nabo Capital, those ones, the beauty is that the interest that you earn becomes part of the principal. And that's why we say that it compounds on a monthly basis. So the risk is also very low, and it can help you to grow your income passively, especially for professionals and busy people, and even people in business. People in business, managing your finances is also very key. So you find that you may just put your money in a current bank account that earns 0 interest. So you have 2 million and you're in business. If you put it in money market, you'll get about close to 15,000 Kenya shillings in a month just by putting the 2 million there. That 13,000 in month 1 will become 26 in month 2. So many times that money can help you with other things. So find a way to also use the money that you have to help you get more income. So after money market, you look at the capital market. So if you have money that you don't need in 3 to 5 years, now you are looking at capital markets, because capital market is long term. When you are talking about financial planning, your short-term plans, that money needs to be in money market. Long-term plans, capital market. So if you are going to the stock market, know that stock market is for the long term. Safaricom CEO just joined last year in April. So he's building his plan and strategy for the long term. So there's no way you can go and tell him, I want results now, I'll put 1 million today. I want this money to grow this much. That is impossible. Now is when he's restructuring the company to work according to his strategy. So it will take time, 3 to 5 years. So that's how the capital markets work. So because of that, you need to be aligned with how companies work. They do plans now, and they start seeing the benefits 3 to 5 years from now. So that's how the stock market works. So if you put the money in the stock market today, it goes down because there's lockdown, and now you start complaining. It simply means that in the skill set layer, you've not strengthened your skill. You've not aligned to how the capital markets work. SACCOs, again, you need to know how SACCOs work. So for you to get your money from SACCOs, maybe you need to exit. And if you need a loan, you need a guarantor. So that's very key. So know what SACCOs play in an ecosystem and how they can benefit you. So maybe if you are in a SACCO with friends and colleagues, it might be much better than being in a SACCO alone with no one who can guarantee you when you want to take a loan. And also the dividends that they pay, both from capital markets and SACCOs, you are encouraged to always reinvest your dividends, because that's how you make your money work for you. So if you reinvest your dividends, it means that you are growing your income and it is becoming much more, it will earn you more dividends in the days to come. So recently we've seen a lot of questions on Forex. So you need that Forex now, the risk matrix for Forex is very high. So if you are to invest in Forex, then it means that you need to have a lot of time to learn how to trade, sit on the screen, draw charts. So you also need to see if that is something that you can do, or maybe you are too busy in your business, so that might not be for you. And maybe if you need to do foreign stocks, you might need to invest in shares for the long term. And you don't need to be a day trader, because there are investment platforms that allow people to day trade. Maybe you don't have time to day trade. So that's again is under skill set. So do things that you have time to do and align with your personal goals in the long run. So there are very different types of investment options. So you look at money market, low risk, and returns will be at around 9% here in Kenya. So that's above the inflation rate, which is good enough. There's where you can put your emergency fund. So if you want to have, let's say, 6 months worth of emergency fund, you can put 1 month worth of your monthly needs in a bank account, which you can access through mobile banking apps. But the rest you put in money market account because you can get it within 3 days. So you see, you have your goals, you have your needs, and then you're using financial market instruments to make things work for you. So that's how you should look at them. Capital markets, long term. Things like treasury bonds, they're for the long term. But treasury bills, they're under money market because they mature within a year. So always good to align with how investment options work. So you have commercial banks, fixed deposits that are under money markets, current accounts, they don't earn any interest, savings account, they earn low interest. So unit trust, money market fund. So money market fund is what I would encourage us to go for because this is where there's capital preservation. So usually I see that if you want to take more risk, maybe you can go to the stock market, but for money that you just want to grow passively, you can go for money market fund. Then for commercial papers, they're for sophisticated investors. And you've seen that in Kenya, we've had so many issues whereby even some fund management companies have lost money in commercial papers. So I'll just say that the risk is a bit too high. Capital markets, this is long-term. We have stocks, Nairobi Securities Exchange, treasury bonds, corporate bonds, and we also have a real estate investment trust. So these ones, they pool funds, then invest in properties, like this real estate investment trust called Fahari Irate. They've invested in Greenspan Mall, which I think is in Eastland. So from the rents that they get there, at the end of the year, they distribute to members. Insurance products, again, you need to look at what is available in the market and how it can apply to your personal journey. So you don't invest because someone has come to you the product. You invest because it is you who is going to the financial markets. So always try, you should not buy an insurance product because someone came to you. Most of the times you'll be making the wrong decision. So you need to look at what is out there, then you take yourself to Jubilee, to Britain after you made the decision. Yeah, so finally, you need to know about the financial market. So just like you open Facebook on a daily basis or WhatsApp or any other website, you also need to be visiting Central Bank of Kenya, Capital Markets Authority, Retirement Benefit, Insurance Regulatory Authority, Communication Authority, so that over time you learn how they operate and what is out there for you, because they have things that are very critical in our lives. Most of the investment that we make, they fall under these organizations. So it's also good to learn as much about them as possible. So I'll stop at this point in time and then take questions, as many of them as possible. So thank you very much, and I'll revert back to Felista.
Thank you so much, Robert. I'm seeing people saying 1 hour is too short. You need to come back. So
yeah, we'll do more of that.
We'll talk about that. Emma, you can unmute. You're asking a question, and Lovely also. You have a question, then I can read the other questions that came up in another session. So I don't know, Emma might be having a problem. She's asking how the rate from ICEA, or rather the Fahari rate, is performing. Maybe brief.
Yes, so currently for the rate, what I can say that when investing in the stock market, you have those investments that give people reliable income in terms of dividends. So dividends is basically distribution of the part of profits to shareholders. So we know very well, like British American Tobacco, they pay very good dividends, close to 10% per year. And Stanchart the same. So Fahari Irate, they work that way as well, because recently they gave a distribution that was very close to 10%. So that's how you should look at it. Because what they do is that people rent the houses that they bought, then they're mandated to share a very big portion of the profits, up to 80% with the shareholders. So because of that, you're guaranteed to get between 8 to 10% on an annual basis. So depending on your buying price, that can even be higher over time. So that's the way you can look at it, because maybe it would be risky for you to invest in real estate as an individual, but now funds have been pooled. So we've got this money together and it is being managed for us and we are sharing the rent. So basically that's how it works.
Okay, I hope that answers you, Emma. Lovely Lily had asked about, you mentioned if you get a return of above 13%, you should be worried. Some circles give higher returns than 13 on share capital. Should we be worried, or how does this 13% rule apply?
Yeah, so basically what you are saying there, that 13% is just to make us guarded. So anything above 13%, you need to interrogate, right? And the way circles work is that the share capital is a very small part of your investments. You'll find that for most circles, the share capital maybe is just 20,000 Kenya shillings, right? But deposits are limited. So maybe you have 1 million in terms of deposits. Have you ever asked yourself why deposits are not getting 17% interest? Because it is a lot of money. But since the share capital is little, and you can't get that share capital unless you leave a circle and sell those shares to someone else. So because of that small amount of money, they can afford to give you slightly more. But still, you always need to interrogate. That's why you need to go to the annual general meeting and ask them how they're able to achieve that. Always ask and ask. Because anything that is beyond 13% in the financial markets, you need to ask why. You need to know where that money is coming from. Because I've seen some circles or investment groups that actually they don't give you that share capital as money. They give you as more shares and you can only sell to other people. You know, that is not business, because if you are selling your shares, business is generating income, then you pay people dividends. So ask these tough questions. If you are paid in shares, really, that's not money, because that is someone else's money. They'll pay you to buy it. So for that reason, you always need to know, even if it is genuine, you need to know the rationale why you are getting these high returns. Because most of the investment options that have gone wrong, usually is because the returns are high and unsustainable.
Thanks for that, Lily. I hope that answers you. She had another question, and then Kiprono, you can ask yours. You mentioned that stocks are long-term investments. Does it reach a time when you just pull out from a stock? And how do you know it's time to pull out? And maybe you can also talk briefly, because there was a question that came in before today's meeting about how do I start investing? How do I even open a CDSC account? Just in brief. And then maybe how do you know when to pull out from a stock?
Okay, so basically when you look at the stock market, one of the reasons why I said that you need to know these financial market players, when you look at the stock market here in Kenya, if you are to look at Gikomba as a market, now Nairobi Securities Exchange is the market for the stocks. These are companies are listed. And the reason to know about companies is that you're already consumers of their products. So Safaricom, you already consume their products. So an investor is basically someone who is both a consumer and an investor in most cases. So that means that apart from the consumption that you're making, you're also getting returns from investing in these companies. So if you want to grow in Safaricom, we believe that the Kenyan population is very young and still more people are going to use Safaricom products. Safaricom can work for you as an investor. So invest in it. So as its profits grow, when you hear about people saying that they're making a lot of money, they pay quite a lot of dividends. Like recently they paid an interim dividend whereby they spent 18 billion by paying investors. So the consumers, you bring in a lot of money, but you get nothing. Investors, they might not even be using the products, but they get the investment. They are growing and their investment options are becoming fatter and fatter. So if you want to participate in the stock market, just like any other investment, you need to look at the best companies, the well-managed and run companies, the BATs, the Stanzas, the ABLs, these big brands that are doing really well. So if you want to be part of that growth and now you want to invest, under the stock market now we have investment banks and stock brokers. So you have like AIB Axis, you have Faida Investment Banks, you have Genghis Capital. So first you need to acquire the knowledge and know how the stock market works. Then you go and open an investment account with a stock broker or an investment bank. And that information on which investment banks are registered or licensed in Kenya, we can get it from Capital Markets Authority or the CMA website, NSE website, and also CBSE. So from there, the stock market agents are basically companies that allow you to trade stocks in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. So you need to open an investment account with them, which we call the tool set. So once you have the investment account, then now you can analyze shares, see which companies are best managed. So first you need to know how the company makes money, which industry is it in, and then financial analysis, which is like the thermometer. You know, some companies are big name or big brands here, but they're bleeding. You can find that information in the financials. Then we have what is known as evaluation, which is just looking at the right price. So all those we teach in Abojani class, whereby you know that each company has got its worth. So you can't just buy it at any price. So you need to buy at the right price, then you hold in the long run. So as the revenues grow, as the profits grow, in the long run, the share price also tend to go up if you buy at the right price. So that's how you make what is known as capital gains. Then if they spend part of their profits to pay shareholders, that is known as dividends. So you'll be getting the dividends, which you are encouraged to invest back into the companies so that you can earn more dividends in future. So in terms of when to sell, there are several reasons why to sell. Maybe you had a goal, like Safaricom listed at 5 Kenya shillings. Now it is at 36. So maybe you had a goal that in 5 years, when you invested 500,000 Kenya shillings, you are going to use that as a down payment for building a house or buying a house. So if you had 500,000 Kenya shillings and it has grown 7 times, that's like 3.5 million Kenya shillings. Now you say that nimetosheka, I can use this money to do this. So now you can sell. And again, sometimes the realities in the market change. A good company like Nation Media used to trade at 300 Kenya shillings, but now you know when people are not buying the print media. Because of that, their revenues have been going down and even profits. Now it is trading at around less than 20 Kenya shillings. So it simply means that if facts change in the environment, an investment is not an emotional ride. It is supposed to be based on logic. Just say goodbye. It was good till it lasted, and exit in that time and protect yourself. So that's very important. So when facts change, or you feel that you can get a better return or an opportunity from somewhere else, then you can sell. As to buy, the reason to buy is when you have money, when the share is trading at the right price, and if it fits within your personal goal. So if you have something you need to do 6 years from now and you feel part of that money you can put in the stock market, then you can buy. So usually people just come to me and ask me, should I buy Safaricom? I can't tell you because first I don't know your personal goals. So only when I know your personal goals, then I can tell you these are the options that are available. Which one should you take? That's what should be happening. I can't just tell you go and buy this and that. It will be very wrong and irresponsible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Robert. I hope, Lily, that helps you. Kiprono, I don't know if you're still there waiting to ask a question. Mercy Mboya had asked, Kiprono, are you there?
Okay, I'm there, but I don't know if you can get me clearly. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, I have 2 questions to, I don't know, Abijam investment. Okay, I wanted to ask in business, let's say you're running a business, investing on CCTV and maybe post machines in managing the stock enough for someone who is not there physically to check on your business or to manage your employees in business. And then number 2, with the rule of 50, 30, 20, in terms of how you are going to budget your monthly income, that is. At some point you are running a project
Kiprono, are you still there? I think we have lost.
Like your building, maybe your home building. Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, my internet is okay. My internet is so low.
But now it's fine. Kiprono, you're talking about the 50-30-20 budget, and you're saying, what if you have a project?
Let me take that one first.
Yeah.
For the projects.
Okay, and maybe Kiprono, you can type the rest because your internet is not very strong, and then they can be answered.
Yeah, so thank you very much for that, Kiprono. So the one for a project, Kiprono, the way we said, first you need to write down your personal goals and the things that you need to do, both short-term and long-term.
Let me text.
Okay, Robert.
Yeah, so like you said, the projects, they're not supposed to be funded by your salary. I hope you are clear on that, Kiprono. The salary is supposed to be planned such that when it comes, we know where to put it in terms of savings and investments. Then the savings and investments, we are saving and investing for goals, right? So when you plan to do a project 3 months from now, you can't say that you'll take your salary for maybe, or income for the next 2 months and use that for a project. You need to plan at the beginning of the year, whether you're going to do a project 6 months from now, then you start setting aside money regularly towards that project. Otherwise, if you do that, you can say that this month I'm not going to save because I'm building a house. You never set aside anything. So it's about priorities. Set your priorities, then you look at short-term and long-term. Then you need to plan because your salary and financial resources are unlimited and you can never run out of projects. So because of that, I'll say that this year, the maximum that I can save maybe is 200,000 Kenyan shillings. So because of that, the projects that I can do in the short term should not be beyond that. You see, so you're working with the resources that you have and you plan accordingly. So otherwise, there's always an excuse. You can say this month I want to save because there's school fees coming up. What about if you say that I'm going to pay school fees of X amount? So every month I'll be setting aside 5,000 Kenya shillings. So when the school fees is due, you already have the money in hand. So the reason why people take school fees loan is because they don't plan for it. Things like insurance for cars, people don't plan for them. If something is 60,000 Kenya shillings, 60,000 Kenya shillings at a go, the other way to look at it is 5,000 Kenya shillings in 12 months. So that's how you plan and you're able to afford. Otherwise, you'll just be taking loans. Insurance is due, let me take a loan. School fees, let me take a loan. Project, let me take a loan. Before we know, maybe you've attained the retirement age and we can't even afford our retirement. So you have to plan and work with the resources that we have. So I hope that answers how to do projects, is to plan under financial planning. Then now you start working towards that goal. With that, you have so much energy in terms of saving and investment. No one will even be reminding you to save because you say that I want to raise a down payment to start a business or build my home. Because of that, I'm setting aside, let's say 20,000 Kenya shillings or 30,000 Kenya shillings per month. So you'll be very self-driven. And we say that if you are the driver, you're likely to succeed. But if you don't plan, then other elements, other stories from outside there will take charge of your finances. And you will always find a way out, your money going out regularly. Things that are not aligned to your goals.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Robert. Mercy, you're asking something about Mansa if you're still on, and then Mercy, you can ask about the treasury bonds. Mercy?
Hey, Robert and Felista, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Mercy, hi.
Hi, so there is this investment plan by Standard Investment Bank called Mansa X. So ideally, it's I think they invest in Forex. So you give them your money, then their returns. I think they return quarterly and they have quite high returns, I think of almost up to 24% yearly. So I'd just like to get your opinion on the same. If you've heard about how it's working, is it a viable investment opinion, or what do you think about it?
Thank you very much for that, Mercy. So what I'll do for whether you should take an investment or not, I'll again take you back to the skill set angle, right? I'll take you back to the skill set angle and say that, first of all, you need to look at your personal goals and also look at the downside. So if you see that the returns are high and is a little bit risky, then you need to know how much from your total net worth can you afford to put in such investment. Then it would really make sense. So you don't just invest because there are high returns, but because you've looked at your personal goals and you've looked at what you can afford to lose. Because when you look at high returns, is about risk reward, so that you balance that with your personal goals. But it's very difficult for me to say yes or no in terms of any investment that is being managed or regulated by capital market authorities. So what we look at, like let's say someone who doesn't have an emergency fund, it would not make sense to invest in the Mansa X or the stock market. First, to start with an emergency fund. Emergency fund, maybe you need to go to CIC or Britam or NABO. Then let's say now you have 10 million Kenya shillings, and you've seen that this investment is giving you high returns. Then if you have 10 million and you put 250,000 Kenya shillings and invest in an investment that is giving high return, but there's also a downside to it. If you lose that 250, it might not affect you much. But also, if it works and you get high returns, the better for you. So you need to balance with your personal situations and what you have. So it's very, very key to look at a way to balance that. But the key thing is to strengthen the skill set so that you can see what is out there in the financial market and how it works for you. So not everything that is in the financial market is for you. Like maybe you have over 200 investment options in Kenya. Some of them I don't even care about them. I don't listen about them. And even the adverts, not all adverts are meant for you. So some things you can even assume they don't exist if you feel they're not aligned to your goals. But the ones that are aligned, you go to your checklist and see if this is something that will make sense for me. So you should be able to bite what we can be able to achieve in terms of risk taking.
True.
I
Thanks.
hope that answers you.
Mercy?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
So Mwasike,
Yes.
then I think I'll read the rest in the interest of time. I don't know, Robert, how much more time you're giving us.
So I can give you 5 more minutes before I talk about the Abojani class. So let me answer this one from Lily. She says, for me, the selling point for Saiton money market is accessibility. So Lily, let me tell you something. Saving is not about accessibility. If you want money that you can access, that is not saving. You should just look at the philosophy that our parents used to save. If you need money that you can access, that is not saving. That is an emergency fund or money that can sort your needs. So for you to save, you have to feel a short-term pain. That for me to get my money, it might take 72 hours. So that's the only reason that you'll be able to save consistently. Otherwise, money that you can easily access, it simply means that someone can be in a club at 3 a.m., they wake up, they want to buy some more beers, they go to their money market account. How is that an investment? Because the money to go for clubbing is under self-development, that is under entertainment, which is in your budget. That's not the money to invest. So for investing, what works under behavioral finance, make life hard for you in the short term. Make that money inaccessible. 72-hour rule says that if you really needed something, after 72 hours, you'd have changed your mind. So that's why it is not good to have the investments where you can access them immediately. So again, I said, the financial market instruments that are available, but you need to make them work for you. And the selling point has to be something that is aligned with your goal. So if you are saving 600,000 for a project in 6 months, if you can access it easily, how is that investment option helping you? But if you need money to buy lunch today and it is in a current account where you can withdraw, then it means that current account fits well with your personal needs. So you really need to look at it and balance. So financial markets, it is us who are supposed to go for the things that fit into us, not because the sale is there. So you just go, today there's an investment option, tomorrow there'll be another one, tomorrow after one. You'll spend too much time just looking at investments. Well, you really need to sit down, look at your goals, then you go to the markets and see what works for you. So that's what I can say about the ability to withdraw money easily on money market fund. So saving and investment is about driving you towards your goal. So if you let the investment options and products use you, then you'll not meet your goals. And remember, this is something personal. Not even Robert or not anyone is in charge of your finances and your goals. You are the one who knows your goals. So you should ensure that you go for things that help you in your goal. So learn how to balance. Like I said, M-Pesa is not a savings account. It is for transferring money. You need to make payment, you put money there, you make payment. If you leave 50,000 Kenya shillings there, before you know, that money will be gone and you won't even account for it. And it will still be a successful product. It won't be a bad product because you misused it. So that's how you should see financial market. Let what is there fit into what you want to do with your life and your personal goals.
Okay, thanks, Robert. You'll take us through the class that is coming up on Monday. I see many people saying 1 hour is not enough. So from Monday, you have up to 3 weeks with Robert to do, classes on personal finance and investment. And I did the class in January because I don't like to speak about things that I have not interacted with. And it is a good class, and especially for many of you who want to learn how to invest and, get started with investing. I don't know how many people want to take a 1 million shilling challenge. Someone answers she's done the masterclass. I hope it was helpful. Yeah. So I know this might sound unbelievable, but if some of the people who have gone through Robert's class can come and talk, like they gave themselves a 52-week challenge of raising 1 million in a money market fund, and they were actually able to achieve it within 52 weeks. It is possible. A lot of us are using money and we can't really account for it. We've gotten our dividends from the circle and immediately we ate those. You got your Safaricom dividends, you ate those, but you can use that money to grow your income. Kiprono, Robert is taking us through that in terms of the timings and how it works. So Robert, take it away.
Thank you very much, Belisa. So for the masterclass, usually we run it for 3 weeks. So it's very intense. The reason why it is intense because we don't want it to be too staggered. We just want someone to know that in April, we are doing the personal finance masterclass. So with that, we look at personal finance, which covers budgeting, taxation, debt management. We'll share budgeting templates. Then we also look at the money markets, where to put your money in the short term and the long run, the stock market, treasury bills and bonds and circles. So the classes are run on WhatsApp and Zoom. So once you make the payments, you'll be added into the WhatsApp group. Then we'll share the details on the Zoom links that we'll be accessing within the 3 weeks, as well as the WhatsApp. So far we've trained over 5,000 people. And for this group, we are giving you a special discount of 10%. So if you pay within today, you'll pay only 2,700. And you'll be able to interact with other people in terms of seeing the questions that other people are asking, the moderators responding to them. Then also your personal questions that you have on investments, we'll also guide you on them. And it is very practical. So we usually say that we are not a school. We are not a school because we are not coming here to learn about investment, then go away. No, we want you to start budgeting immediately, set up an emergency fund, put some money in the stock market if you are ready, or money market if you are not ready, but just start something. And because of that, we'll connect you to the investment firms, like let's say AIB Axis for stock market, Britam money market, CSC money market, NABO, and even for the circles, we'll analyze to see which ones are best for you. So it is very practical. That's why you have so many challenges. We have an emergency fund setup challenge. Therefore, we're able to save an emergency fund of 200,000, let's say within 6 months to 18 months. Therefore, who can do more like this person. So it is also very personal, but what we try to do is that we've already gone too much into theories in a 844 system. So for this one, we just focus on learning as much as you can, then sitting down with yourself, having a meeting with yourself. Once you are ready to invest, the investment accounts and everything where you can get started will guide you on that. And we usually emphasize on practicing. So think about this as the golf club of investing or the Olympics. So in Olympics, it's not about talking, please. Because in finance, you can know so many things. You can know about inflation, be on TV, tell people about inflation, but personally, you don't invest. That's the disadvantage of finance. So because of that reason, the only difference is when you do something for yourself. Budget, set up that standing instruction and start investing. Because if someone was able to save 10,000 Kenya shillings per month, do you know in 10 years they'll have over 1.2 million Kenya shillings? How many people were able to do that 10 years ago and they didn't do? So the best time to start is now, and it is a journey where we just move with us. So any other questions in regards to this? So the sessions are 1 hour between 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., but the content is usually available for you. I respect you the time zone, and also the recordings for Zoom sessions are there. And let me tell you, the main thing about these sessions, they're about engagement. So you can see how we talk a lot online. Recently, people are talking about IMF, so many things that we engage on. So who said that we can't engage about finances? Which is actually what can help us if we lose our jobs, it can take our children to school. So because of that, we built a platform where we engage about finances. So when we talk about money, things with budgeting, where to put your money, and we also learn from other people and industry experts who practice this on a day-to-day basis. So that's what our sessions are all about. And we are very practical. I can tell you that is what we look at. For me, if you come to the class and you don't invest, I'll have failed terribly. But if you come to the class, then you start budgeting, you do an emergency fund, you will tell your family members. We always assume that we are the silent partner at the dinner table of each and every family. Those dreams and aspirations that they want to do and their money can help. That's what we see ourselves. So when you are coming again, the minimum requirement is that you should be ready to take action and deliberate about your money. If that is yes, then you are ready to come for the class. And we invite you and look forward to having you on board.
Okay, so Kiprono is saying he hopes Museveni will not interfere with the internet. So I'm assuming he's in Uganda. We also pray that he won't. But even if he does, as long as you're in the class, you will still be able to access the material even at a later time in case you have some challenges. Because what happens, I think, you know, some days you even find Robert and his team sharing things very early in the morning. Of course, the 1 hour sessions is mentioned in the evening, but even if you're not there at that time, at 7 to 8, you'll still join at 9 and find, you know, the discussion and catch up. Of course, it's good not to let the messages accumulate, because then you're not likely to have the motivation to look through very many messages. But yeah, it's very self-driven in terms of you're going to be able to work with whatever time you have. So Robert, as we finish, Mwasike had wanted to ask something. I think he dropped off. He was asking about investing in treasury bonds of other countries.
So for offshore classes, today between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., we have a session with Scope. I can share the link on the 52-week savings group. So we'll tell you about offshore, because for the masterclass, we usually want people first to get started with the money habit, because we tell you that it is only with more that you can do more. So once you are good with the local market, you are well grounded, then now you can start looking at offshore. So it is we have different layers. So for offshore is totally a different masterclass, but you can be guided on that if you want to do foreign investment options and how to get started. So that will be today, and it is a free session. We can also plan one with Felicitas maybe the next few weeks, specifically for the 52-week savings group in collaboration with the stock market.
Yeah, that will be nice because there are quite a lot of people who are trying to think beyond the Kenyan market. So look out for that at 4 p.m. today if you have some time. Robert will share the link, then you can join. Esna had asked something about deposit insurance. Esna, if you're able to unmute, you can ask. If not, let me fetch that comment. Where is it? Okay, what's Robert's opinion on Saiton money market fund? I note many investors are complaining. How do investors secure themselves in comparison to banks that have the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation? So is there such a protective factor for money market funds? Because even Amana had the same, had some difficulties, and, those who had put their money there were having difficulties. So in the event that money markets are considered low risk, but in the event that, the fund managers make some decisions that end up not working out for the investors, what happens? Do they get any compensation? In banks, you get at least 100,000. What about with money market funds?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So I think they would answer it. First, I'll take you back to the mindset, skill set, and the tool set. So that's why I say that under the skill set, before you go to any fund, you need to do your research. So usually there's a checklist that you look at before you make that decision. So that checklist will help you. Then the other thing that I would want to talk about is that there's a bit of a risk element in all investments. But the only way to be successful or increase your chances of success, because you'll never be 100% perfect, is to really build on your checklist. So when things go wrong, the markets have got frameworks for trying to recover the funds. And we've seen that people have recovered their funds in the recent past at least some percentages. And even for some insurance funds recently, I saw that there's a bit of recovery that is happening there. So usually that is dependent on the extent of loss, and such scenarios, maybe the regulators are in the best position to guide now on the events that have already happened, because that is definitely beyond us as Abojani.
True.
So
The
what I
last
want to
one,
say, your tools of defense are basically the checklist that you'll have. And if you can have a situation whereby you are the ones who are choosing the investments that you want, rather than other people coming to you with them, you'll find that you'll really increase your rates of success, because you'll have done a very logical investment checklist, and you'll actually go for the best options and what is out there, so that you increase your chances of success. Then now, if things go wrong, if maybe 20% can be recovered, 50, 70, that is on a case-by-case scenario. Beyond the bare minimum that people get, even from commercial banks, you've seen that people actually recovered much more than the minimum insured amount. So it is also on a case-by-case scenario. But I'll just say that work to build on your checklist, because that's where you try to protect the downside. And the checklist should be a very, very logical process or framework that you develop over time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Robert. Esna, I hope that answers you. Let me do the last one. Someone, James Nzala, is asking about the presentation. He wants the PowerPoint. I don't know if people really look at those PowerPoint, but Robert, you can respond to that.
So I think what we can do, there are two things. First of all, I believe you were recorded so they can get the session,
Yes,
and also they can join our community. Because
yes,
if you join our community, you're able to get more from our offering.
true.
Yeah, but currently we do not share the PowerPoint.
Yeah, so James, the recording is there. If you need to look through again, you can definitely watch the recording and also join the Abojani community where you will get, more of these insights on a daily basis. Someone with a high sense is saying, so they're on Twitter. For those of you who are on Twitter, you can follow that. They're also on Facebook. There's the WhatsApp community. There's, yeah, I
We have
think Robert
Telegram.
had shared the link. I don't know whether you can reshare it on the, let me try and pull it. You can reshare it on the comments, just so that those who want to interact can come back and do that. Then there's the inner circle. I don't know how to talk about those. So yeah, there's even more than the WhatsApp. Like you can go beyond the WhatsApp and join an inner circle where you get much more. Of course, there are costs that come with that. But yeah, for now, there are many other free ways to access the resources, including Twitter and Facebook, and even paying. Robert has given us a 10% discount if you pay today. The pay bill is there. Where's the pay bill, Robert? Yeah, the pay bill is there. So if you pay today, 469345 via M-Pesa, and of course account, you give your name, and you can reach Abojani on WhatsApp 0763682116. Then you get invited into the WhatsApp class. This is season what, Robert?
This is the 27th class.
27th.
And they run on a monthly basis, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be part of the 27th season and hopefully join the more than 5,000 people who have, taken the class and have good testimonies to show for, the amount of money that they paid. I mean, it's worth much more than the 2,700 or 3,000 you will pay. So feel free to make use of that offer. Eunice is asking for the link to the offshore class, offshore session. If you can share the link or share the poster, Robert, on the screen. There's an offshore session coming. Yeah, there you go. At 4. So I think Robert will share the link later because it's not there on the poster. But yeah, if you're interested in going beyond Kenya, feel free to join that session at 4 to 6 today. And Robert, again, I'm sure, I don't know, I've seen very many feedback comments about Robert's presentation today. So I'm hoping that, if you have found the way he has presented useful, then you will find the offshore investing masterclass informative too. So you can join that, and I'm sure Robert will share it on Facebook in a bit, like the links, so that you can save that for yourself. Robert, the very last question, Peter Oluoch is asking whether he can make 10% return in the stock market and 100% return in the stock market per year.
So about the stock market is that in the long run, you can get 10% on average in the long run if you if you include the dividends, and it can even get much higher or lower. So that's why we say that under the skill set, you need to have a good screening tool or a way of looking at investments and seeing the companies that are likely to make you successful. So you have 67 listed companies or 60, but what you need to look at is which ones are likely to make you be more successful. So if you hear about that Safaricom is successful, the shareholders have also gained actually more than what you are talking about of 10% on an annual basis. But it doesn't happen in one day. It's about the long run. So if you, in the stock market, 1 year can even be down by 5%, but another year, 25% in a year. So you need to align with the long-term way in which the stock market works. So if you want a guaranteed 10%, you can get it in money market. But if you are looking at the long term and you believe that certain sectors will grow, like the banking sector has grown by more than 10 times in terms of asset base from the year 2006. So it means that people who invested in banks, they've gained. Companies like BAT, ABL, they've grown over time, but it doesn't happen in 1 day or 1 year. They're usually in the long run. So in the long run, yes, you can get. Then about 100%, clearly, you can see that even if that happens, it is very rare. So it's always good to look at the possibilities and not to go to the extreme scenarios, because in the extreme scenarios is where we lose our minds and we put money investment options because of the high returns rather than what seems possible. So I would work with 10% in the long run, and we could actually get much more.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert. Apollo, who else? Apollo Nyawanga, Carson Arisi, Mutukundeti, Millicent Oingo, they all say that, you know, they thank you for your selfless efforts in helping make members of 52 Weeks better. And they found the session quite insightful and good and informative, and you know they're loving the session and would want to see more and more of you. They have no idea how come they have not seen you before. I know Robert posts a lot, but maybe you disregard him, but now that you have seen what he has to offer, maybe you will see him more and pay more attention when he posts in the group. So thank you so much, Robert. Looking forward to more sessions and hoping that, you know, a lot of those who have participated in this session and those who will watch later will make use of the Abojani class to get to the next level of investment. Esna and Lily, you had said you really wanted to attend the class, so I'm going to throw in, now that Robert has given us a discount, I'm going to throw in something for you so that you attend, and especially because you follow through to even attend this session and to ask questions and participate. So I'm going to throw in that for you, and hopefully that it's going to change the way you think about money, your mindset, give you the skills you need to make decisions, and give you the tools that you need to make better decisions as you make the best use of your money. So thank you so much. As we wind up, everybody, maybe you can type down the one thing that you're taking away from this session. I have like so many of them. So I was taking notes. I guess, I don't know whether this is visible, but I was taking notes. So I have lots and lots of them, but I think I'll go with the first one, the opposite of YOLO, because I hear that a lot when you tell people, why aren't you saving? Why aren't you managing your money well?